Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Sorry, it took me a little time because my mobile was not getting started. Jai Gurudev. So yesterday we were doing verse number 28. I'm just going to read the shloka one more time and then we'll go down. We've done this repetition at least 2-3 times now. Tattva, Krishna then explained why the wise are not attached to karma. Tattva vittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. Whereas, O Arjuna, the knower of the truth, knowing the distinction between body, mind, sense complex, and action, knowing that the senses, mind, and organs of action engage themselves with reference to their respective objects alone, is not bound. In this verse, Krishna contrasted the jnani with the ajnani mentioned in the previous verse. So the ignorant person takes the body, mind, sense complex, karya, karana, sanghata as oneself, and oneself to be the karya, karana, sanghata, thereby making no distinction between the two. This lack of discrimination is where individuality comes from, that which makes one seem unique and distinct. The jnani, on the other hand, one second. The jnani, on the other hand, while taking the body, mind, sense complex as himself or herself, no doubt, does not take the self to be the body, mind, and senses. If the jnani were not identified with the body, mind, sense complex in this way, talking, walking, seeing, hearing, and thinking would not be possible. Since the jnani thinks, does actions, and so on, he or she also naturally has an ahankara. Here, the karya karana sanghata atma is being called the ahankara. So, clear distinction between the jnani and the ajnani. The jnani takes the body, mind, sense complex as himself, but sees the self as different. Sees the self as the self and does not identify the self as the body, mind, senses. Whereas the ajnani sees the the body mind sense complex as the self, and the self as the body mind sense complex. So there is no distinction, there is no discrimination for the ajnani. Whereas the jnani sees this apart, sees this clear distinction. The nature of delusion. Muted myself. Yeah, so we did all of this. The nature of delusion. What is this? This is, Swamiji was talking about the suffix twa. I think I will read this one more time. This is an important verse that we understand well. The nature of delusion. Thus, both the jnani and the ajnani have this ahankara. The difference between the two being that the jnani does not take the self to be karya karana sanghata, whereas the ajnani does, which is why there is samsara for him or her. Samsara is in the self, for the self. This is for the ajnani. Because the Atma is taken to be Karya Karana Sanghata Atma, there are individuals, each of whom is unique and distinct from every other individual. Thus, there is an as though division, an as though duality, Dvaita. The Shruti does not say there is Dvaita. It says only that there is as though duality. Dvaitam iva bhavati. Wherever there is as though, is this as though duality, there is death, mrityu, there is time, and there is samsara. It's a very important line. So wherever there is this as though duality, there is death. See, because there is the pairs of opposites. There is time and space. So everything comes into play. But as long as there is only Atma, Advaita is there, then there is no other, there is no death. There is only existence. That is the truth. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So it's infinite. And it is, and therefore it is timeless. It's not bound by time. Whereas when there is this as though duality, there is life and death. That this is the cycle of samsara. So you have death. And with death comes the fear of death. There is bhaya. And then you have raga and dvesha. Whereas the jnani is referred to as tattvavit in this verse. The suffix tva is added to a noun to convey its abstract sense, its essence. For example, the truth or essence of a pot is called ghatasya tattvam, becomes ghatatva, potness. In English, the suffix ness is used in the same way. That is a pronoun and as such can stand for anything. Thus, tattva refers to that which is the truth or essence of everything. Tasya bhava. The one who knows the truth about oneself, the world and God is called tattvavit. And the one who does not know this truth is called a tattvavit. Like jnani and ajnani, you have tattvavit, the one who knows the essence. Tattva is referred to as the truth or essence of everything. In this verse, tattvavit refers to one who knows the truth of the gunas, the modification that is the body, mind, sense complex, as well as of the karmas, meaning that the person can distinguish between the two. The distinction, vibhaga, here is that the body, mind, sense complex is an instrument, a karana. It is not the Atma. I, the Atma, is not the Karana, the sense organs or the mind, or the Karya, the physical body. While the mind and senses perform their actions, they are only Karanas, instruments. Atma is not an instrument. It is the self, the content of the self, of the content of the subject, the doer. Therefore, a distinction is to be made between the essence of the subject and the instrument. The subject and its instruments. The subject cannot be taken as an instrument because the instrument being wielded by the subject is necessarily in the hands of the subject. You are handling the body, you are handling the mind and senses. The subject cannot be taken as the very thing that it handles. Just as you cannot take the spoon or fork that you eat with as yourself. That you are holding the fork in your hand does not mean that the fork is you. It is simply an instrument that you wield. Similarly, you wield your mind and senses. You operate them. You wield your physical body. You operate it. Therefore, they are merely instruments, and the doership imputed to Atma is simply a thought belonging to the mind. So it's simply a thought. And where is this thought coming from? It is coming from a deluded mind. The one who knows the Karana as the Karana and the Atma as the Atma is one who knows the truth of both. The one who knows the truth of Atma also knows the truth of Anatma and is therefore a Tattvavid. This then is what is meant by Guna Vibhaga. That is having that clear distinction between the Atma and the Anatma. Knowing the essence of Atma, knowing the essence of Anatma. Atma is not the Karta. Atma does not perform any action. Only the gunas perform action. Action does not come from the Atma. It emanates from the gunas, from the Karya Karana, from the physical body, mind, and senses alone. Any fancy or desire is a modification of the mind. But you may not go along with the desire or fancy. Many desires rise and fall simply because we do not bother about them. This happens because of a particular function of the mind that enables me to decide whether to go along with the desire or not. In such a decision, there are various considerations. Pragmatic and ethical considerations, among others. Is this necessary for me? Is a pragmatic consideration undertaken by the Atma in the form of buddhi. With the organs of action or the sense organs, you perform karma. Whatever you do, eat, walk, or engage yourself in any kind of pursuit, some sense organ is involved. The truth of this karma, however, is that Atma is not directly involved in the activity. Atma is not a desire or a decision, nor does it desire or make decisions. Desires and decisions are always in the form of vrittis, modifications of the mind. These vrittis are Atma, no doubt, but Atma is none of them. Thus, all karma emanates from modifications of the mind, vrittis, and does not come from the Atma. So, Atma is not directly involved in the activity, neither is it directly involved in decision making. It is Atma as Buddhi that is making the decision. And that Buddhi, Manas, all that are nothing but modifications of the mind, of Prakriti. They're all vrittis. So, Atma, these vrittis are Atma, no doubt. But Atma is none of them. So, Atma plus Maya is all these vrittis. But remove Maya, Atma stands alone. So, therefore, Atma is none of them. It is Atma with that delusion. It appears as though Atma is the body mind sense complex. But Atma is standalone. Everything is a modification of Prakriti alone. The one who knows the nature of karma and the nature of Atma, and therefore the distinction between the two, looks upon Prakriti as it really is. Prakriti, also called Maya, in its entirety is the cause for everything in that it modifies itself into everything. The body, mind, and senses are Prakriti, and the sense objects, the world, Jagat, are also Prakriti. All are modifications, gunas of Prakriti alone. And these two Prakritis are in touch with each other. One Prakriti is Karyakarana Prakriti in the form of instruments of perception and action, and the other Prakriti is in the form of objects, Vishayatmika Prakriti. This verse explains, and how are they in touch? The Karyakarana Prakriti gets in touch with the Vishayatmika Prakriti through the sense organs. Sense objects are the Vishayatmika Prakriti. So when the sense organs come in contact with the sense objects, these two Prakritis are in touch. This verse explains that the gunas in the form of instruments of perception and action engage themselves in activity in the spheres of their respective objects, guneshu. This means that the eyes engage themselves in the sphere of forms, rupa, the forms being guna. So, in their respective forms, in the respective spheres, they engage. The eyes can only see, eyes cannot hear. The ears can only hear, the ears cannot feel or touch. So, in their respective spheres, they engage themselves. Sight itself is guna, and the seen object is also guna. Similarly, hearing is guna, and the objects heard, the sounds, are also guna. In this way, these gunas, guneshu, with reference to objects, vartante, engage themselves in activity. This means that I do not perform any action at all. Knowing this, the wise person is not bound. Matva na sajjate. The eyes are seeing, I am not seeing. The ears are hearing, I am not hearing. But the ears and the eyes can all function because of this I. So the I is them, but I, These vrittis are Atma, no doubt. So the eyes, ears, everything is Atma, but Atma is not them. Why are they Atma? Because they're all Maya Janitam. And where is Maya coming from? It is Brahmashraya or Atma Ashraya Maya. So therefore, they are modifications. These vrittis, either vrittis or gunas, are Atma, no doubt. But Atma is not, is none of them. Knowing the truth of Atma and Karma, the Tattvavid does not become attached to any karma. So fundamental. Such attachment is not possible because the person knows that he or she does nothing. To become attached, there must be a vritti, which is non-separate from Atma, while Atma is always free from any vritti. Because there is no connection, no attachment between the vritti and Atma, there can be no attachment to any karma for one who knows that Atma is always free. That is, for the one who knows that Atma is asangaha. I'll repeat this paragraph. Knowing the truth of Atma and karma, the Tattvavid does not become attached to any karma. Such attachment is not possible because the person knows that he or she does nothing. To become attached, there must be a vritti, which is non-separate from Atma, while Atma is always free from any vritti. Because there is no connection, no attachment between the vritti and Atma, there can be no attachment to any karma for one who knows that Atma is always free. That is, for the one who knows that Atma is asangaha. A problem arises when you say you must become asanga, detached. You do not become asanga. That you are asanga is a fact to be known. There is no becoming here. You can never become detached. What you want to be detached from is always in your head. Therefore, you can never detach from it. Even when you say that you are detached from it, you are already attached because you're talking about it. A person who throws away some garbage and says, I gave away my garbage, still has the garbage in his or her head. The garbage was outside and now it is inside. This is exactly how we have collected so much garbage. As the nature of Atma, detachment is already an accomplished fact. Knowing this, one is not bound. Iti matva nasajjate. The person looks upon himself or herself as a non-doer. Akarta aham asmi. Actionlessness itself. Previously, Krishna said that by not performing an action, a person does not gain naishkarmya, the state of actionlessness. Knowing the self to be free from any type of action, doership is not there. When there is no doership, there is no karma. In this sense, knowing there is no doership, a person is free from all karma. This then is the difference between the Tattvavit and the A Tattvavit, Ajnani and Jnani. Tattvavit and Atattvavit. So there is no becoming detached. You just have to understand that you are already detached. Taking a bit of a time. One second. So let me know if you want me to repeat this last paragraph. As the nature of Atma, detachment is already an accomplished fact. So Atma does not need to become detached from anything. Atma is already detached. Knowing this, one is not bound. Iti matva na sajjate. The person looks upon himself or herself as a non-doer. Akarta aham asmi. Actionlessness itself. Previously, Krishna said that by not performing an action, a person does not gain naishkarmya, the state of actionlessness. Na karmana manarambha naishkarmyam purushoshnate. Nacha sanyasana deva siddhim samadhigacchati. So by just not doing action, you don't get the state of actionlessness. That is why he goads Arjuna to do action. So the state of Naishkarmya is not got just by not performing action. Knowing the self to be free from any type of, so it is more from jnana, jnanena Naishkarmya. It is not just by not doing any action. You need to understand that you are not the doer. You understand that you are actionlessness. Knowing the self to be free from any type of action, doership is not there. See, that knowing is important. When there is no doership, there is no karma. In this sense, knowing there is no doership, a person is free from all karma. This then is the difference between the tattvavit and the atattvavit. So what are the differences between tattvavit and atattvavit? One is the tattvavit knows the essence of atma, knows the essence of anatma, knows the essence of karma, whereas the atattvavit does not know the essence of atma. He does not have this vibhaga, he doesn't have this distinction between atma, anatma, and karma. So the tattvavit considers atma as body, mind, sense complex. No doubt. There is that ahankara is there, that little bit of ahankara is there. That is why he's able to do everything. But he sees Atma as different from all of this. Atma is none of them. The self is the body, mind, sense complex, but this is where it's a little confusing. 1 second, huh? He sees I just want to get that specific term that Swamiji has used. Yeah, the jnani takes the body, mind, sense complex as himself, as Atma, whereas does not take the self to be the body, mind, sense complex. So the Tattvavit takes the body, mind, sense complex, the Karya Karana Sanghata as himself, but he sees the self as different from the body, mind, sense complex. Whereas the Atattvavit does not see this distinction. He identifies himself with the body, mind, sense complex, and he sees the self as the body, mind, sense complex. So he is ahankara vimudhatma, whereas the tattvavit is ahankara, he has the distinction. Viveka atma, he has that clear distinction. And then guna guneshu vartanta. So it is the gunas that act in their respective spheres. I am not the doer, is the tattvavit, his understanding. Whereas the atattvavit thinks that he is the doer. He is doing the karma and therefore he is also the enjoyer. The tattvavit is not attached to karma. He is asangaha. Whereas the atattvavit is sangaha. He is attached to karma. And therefore he has samsara. He goes on and on in this cycle. He has mrityu. He has time. Whereas the atattvavit has no mrityu. He is immortal. He's in that amritatva. And he is beyond time. So Does anyone want to share anything before we go on? Knowing you are not a doer, what do you do? When this is so, what should you do? Suppose you know you are akarta and the other person whose welfare you are interested in takes himself or herself to be a karta. Should you tell the person not to do karma? Definitely not. If at all he or she is available for this knowledge, all you can say is Atma is a karta. This alone is the truth, and anything else is a distortion of it. To tell someone not to do karma is the same as saying that performing karma is bondage. If the person still looks upon himself or herself as a karta, being deluded in this way, he or she will only become lazy, nothing more. Dr. Renu says it's very profound. Is it like detached observer? Yes, very much. It's like being the witness. So, again, I repeat this one. Knowing you are not a doer, what would you do? What do you do? Suppose you know you are akarta and the other person whose welfare you are interested in takes himself or herself to be a karta. Should you tell the person not to do karma? Definitely not. If at all he or she is available for this knowledge, all you can say is Atma is a karta. This alone is the truth, and anything else is a distortion of it. To tell someone not to do karma is the same as saying that performing karma is bondage. And repeat this. To tell someone not to do karma is the same as saying that performing karma is bondage. If the person still looks upon himself or herself as a karta, being deluded in this way, he or she will only become lazy, nothing more. See here, Krishna is akarta, and he is interested in the welfare of Arjuna. Arjuna is still taking himself to be karta. That is why he says, "Oh, we will go to hell. We will go to we're committing the sin. How can I be Guru Hanta? How can I be? How can I kill my own Guru?" So he is still deluded. He's in the space of kartritva bhavana, and therefore he's also suffering. Whereas Krishna is standalone. He's coming from the space of akartritva. He's the tattvavid. So would Krishna have to tell Arjuna not to do karma? All he can tell him, because because Arjuna was available for this knowledge. Arjuna asks Krishna, tell me what is Shreyas. He is available for this knowledge, and therefore the only thing Krishna can tell Arjuna is that Atma is akarta. This alone is the truth, and anything else is a distortion of it. And if Krishna had told Arjuna not to do karma, it is the same as saying that performing karma is bondage, which is not true. You have to perform karma. By not performing karma, you do not attain the state of naishkarmya, actionlessness. So that is why if you supposing he was told not to do karma, what will he be? He will, being deluded, he will only become lazy, nothing more. That is why karma kuru. That is why he says, Yajna dana tapah karma na tyajet. Therefore, all you can do is tell the person to do karma, but to do it according to dharma. This much alone you can say. This is what the scriptures enjoin also. Not performing any action will eventually result in a person doing something that is not to be done. What is not proper for you is not proper for the other person also. There are universal implications inherent in all action. If you compromise with this universal fact, for example, by robbing someone, even though you yourself do not want to be robbed, you may think you can get away with it, but you cannot. This the scriptures tell us. Otherwise, we would not need a scripture. Common sense would be enough. So the scriptures tell us what to do and what not to do, how to follow dharma. What is dharma? So all that Krishna was telling Arjuna was to do karma according to dharma. He says, you are a kshatriya and your dharma is to protect dharma. And therefore stand up and fight. If he did not do that, if he did not do his prescribed action according to dharma, and he would end up doing something else which may not be proper. For example, if Arjuna did something other than fighting the war, he would have taken to probably sannyasa and gone to Rishikesh. But what would he be doing in his mind? Has he detached himself from the war? He will constantly be thinking about it. So, what is not proper for you is not proper for the other person also. So, there is universality inherent in every action. So, what you do not want others to do to you, you do not do. This is a simple definition of dharma. The scripture does not need to tell me that it is wrong to rob. This I knew even as a child. When my older brother took the chocolate out of my hand, I complained to the heavens. I cried and created havoc in the house because I knew very well that he robbed what I held as mine. He took it away. Everyone is very clear on this point and does not need a scripture for it. Nor do we need someone to come and preach to us about things we already know. What the scriptures and preachers are saying, however, lest we do not know it, is that we should not think we can get away with improper actions. This then is an extra revelation. What is the extra revelation? We do not we should not think that we can get away with improper actions. This is then an extra revelation, extra information provided by the scripture. It says that the reason you do not get away with improper actions is because there is a law that is impossible to get around. The moment you commit a wrong action, a debit is registered against your name. The whole law is based on credit and debit, both of which are automatically recorded to your account. So this is the papa and the punya. Also, there is no way of manipulating this law. It is already programmed to record whatever action you perform. Everything has been taken care of. This law is not a computer that you, the wizard, the karta, can manipulate. You can, however, erase it by means of a different operation. This then is additional information that a scripture may talk about. Because the information is revelation, something that we have no other way of knowing, the scripture is given the status of revealed knowledge. Very nice. So I'm just going to repeat the last paragraph. So there is some universality embedded in every action. You do not need to be told that robbing is wrong, stealing is wrong, because when you yourself are robbed, you do not like it. You know that robbing is wrong. No one needs to come and tell you that, right? But there is an extra revelation that the scripture gives. What is that? That whenever you do any improper action, you do not get away. There is a debit coming to your account. The moment you commit a wrong action, a debit is registered against your name. The whole law is based on credit and debit, both of which are automatically recorded to your account. Also, there is no way of manipulating this law. It is already programmed to record whatever action you perform. Everything has been taken care of. This law is not a computer that you, the wizard, the karta, can manipulate. You can, however, erase it by means of a different operation. This has to be underlined. You can erase it. How do we erase it? This then is the additional information that the scripture may talk about. Because the information is revelation, something that we have no other way of knowing, the scripture is given the status of revealed knowledge. The scripture is given the status of a pramana, shabda pramana. That is why, if we go back a few verses ago, there are two types of teaching. One teaching is that you role model. You do karma and then you become a role model and you're teaching by example. And the other teaching is through words, shabda pramana. And Atma Jnana cannot be taught by being an example. It can only be taught through words, the shabda pramana. And that is what they're talking here about. The scripture is given the status of revealed knowledge. Now, what does this mean? You can, however, erase it by means of a different operation.
By doing some prayachita.
Prayashchitta is one. And also
And
by changing your attitude. When you change your attitude to from a karmi to a karma yogi,
yeah.
when you're having that samatva, then that result, the outcome will not affect you. There is some papa according in your credit, and that is why you're going through a bad time right now. If you're getting hurt, you're suffering, it is because of some bad karma that you did before. But how can you erase it? You can erase it by having a karma yoga attitude. Then that hurt or that the difficult phase that you're going through will not be as difficult as it would have been if you've not changed your attitude. And with jnana you can. When knowledge dawns, then that seed of karma is erased. It is like burnt out. And that is what you can erase it by means of a different operation.
And also meditation also remove that.
Meditation, yes.
Seva
But
sadhana satsang,
yeah,
wisdom, movement.
yeah.
And Guru. Guru
Rajini-
is needed. Only Guru's grace can erase any impressions.
Yeah. See, seva sadhana satsang is all there required to prepare the mind again. Meditation is also part of the sadhana. But the last step is jnana, that understanding. that revelation, that realization, that is the ultimate thing that erases the whole karma. How to help others in terms of this knowledge? A person who performs action because he or she looks upon himself or herself as the karta should not be told to refrain from action because karma is bondage. This is where Arjuna kept getting confused. He says, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardhana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. That was his first verse uh, in which the Karma Yoga starts off. He says, you say knowledge is great. Knowledge is what is, which gives us moksha. But why do you ask me to perform this action when karma is bondage? So that is why he says a person who performs action because he looks upon himself or herself as the karta should not be told to refrain from action because karma is bondage. It is bondage, no doubt, but telling the person so is not going to make him or her free. If, however, you really care for the person and he or she cares for your words, then you can share what you know. Otherwise, your talk will just go over the person's head. It is like someone who is interested in this knowledge trying to explain to his or her parents what he or she is studying. Because the parents do not understand, they will only ask themselves what they did wrong for their child to have been steered in such a useless direction. We must have been a little too severe, and that is why our child listens to this Swami, they may say. To attempt an explanation is only to make them feel guilty, because it is impossible to convince them of the true worth of this knowledge. You may care for the welfare of those who do not understand, but they too have to care for your words. Otherwise, they will only sympathize with you, feeling that you are completely deluded. And if they do care for your words, you can tell them the truth, that Atma is Akarta. In the modern literature on Vedanta, you may read that you must become a Sangha. This is why some people spend an entire lifetime trying to become a Sangha. It is also sometimes said that you should experience the Asanga Atma. There is an experiencer, an object of experience, and Atma is to be experienced by another Atma who is an experiencer. All that you experience in this way is Anatma, not Atma. Because Atma as Asanga is a fact to be recognized, Krishna further cautioned the wise not to confuse those who think themselves as doers. Please explain, can we justify the ongoing war? They are doing their karma as Arjuna did, as ordered by their heads. As ordered by their heads of country. Is it Kali Yuga ki Mahabharat? Kali Yuga ke Dhritarashtra Duryodhana justifying it? Yeah. No, this war is not justified at all, because this is not to protect dharma. It is to cater to their greed, cater to their fear. So this war is not dharmic at all. So we cannot say what the war that is going on is dharmic. Yeah. So yeah, we've come to the end. We'll do this last paragraph again, last two paragraphs again tomorrow, and we'll take it up. Okay. Yeah, yes, they're justifying it in the name of religion, but that is not true. You and I know that this war is unreasonable. Correct? Yeah. So we'll stop here and we'll continue with verse 29. We'll begin verse 29 tomorrow. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.